Hey guys, it's Sai. So some of you have been asking me where I've been during my break from YouTube, and I figure I would walk you guys through the last 3 years that I didn't cover on YouTube. I have done a lot during these years, but I'm gonna give you guys the highlights, mostly highlights from the last year, because the last year of my life has just been crazy. Like, it's like the kind of stuff I would vision board about and like dream about. I'm so excited to share with you guys the missing chapter, the lost files, all of it in this video. The very first life event I want to tell you guys about is my trip to Paris a year ago. That was the best trip of my life because that was the trip when I got engaged. Went to Paris kind of early summer of last year in June of 2022, and we were there for about like 5 days, I want to say, and kind of in the middle, like one of those days, my now husband told me that we had to wake up and get ready at 6 a.m. because we had a surprise. I knew that he had packed a suit, and so I kind of had an idea. So wake up at 6 a.m., get ready. This is pre-coffee, pre-breakfast. It was probably still dark outside when we woke up and started to get ready. So we went outside the hotel. There was like a S-Class with a chauffeur, like one of those black cars, waiting for us. The guy opens the door, we get in, and then I hear my husband telling the driver that we're going to the Bir Hakeim Bridge. Keep in mind, like, I think I did a good job researching this trip, and I knew like most places in Paris, most of the sites. Like, I'm a planner, like I knew everywhere, but I was like, the Bir Hakeim Bridge, like, what is that? Why are we going there? Like, is that where it's gonna happen? We go there, and then he asked the driver to stop in front of the statue, and when he stops there, I could kind of get a glimpse of what was going on. Like, there was a photographer waiting there. There was these red letters that said "Marry me." We get down, and when I tell you I completely blacked out, like, it's just, I think we both just completely blacked out. So we get out of the car, we're walking, and obviously we walk up to the sign. He gets down on one knee, he proposes, and it was the best moment of my life. The funniest thing though is after the proposal, we look and our driver was still there and he was videoing the whole thing. Like, he got out of his car. He had no idea what was gonna happen either. So he was like, oh my God, did the two people in my car just get engaged? And he was videoing the whole thing. And I actually think it was really amazing that we got engaged this early in the morning, because I'm not a person for like crowds and like, you know, just tons of people watching the engagement. And it's Paris, so if you're doing like an outdoor engagement, like, it's gonna happen. So I'm so glad it was 6 a.m. It was us, the photographer, and of course our driver videoing. After that, we walked around, we went to the Eiffel Tower, we did a whole photo shoot with the photographer. Kind of doubled as our engagement photo shoot, so that was awesome. My husband had more stuff planned throughout the day because it was our engagement day. So we went on a cruise on the Seine River. If you guys are in Paris, I highly recommend it. If you do it at night, you can see the sparkling Eiffel Tower, but it was so beautiful at lunchtime too, because they like go right by the Eiffel Tower. They have like 3-course, I think, and then a cheese course, like appetizer, lunch, cheese course, you know, the whole French lunch. It was just such a magical day. Probably my favorite day of my whole life. The next couple days, we basically got to celebrate our engagement in Paris, just going around Paris, shopping, enjoying good food, like the hot chocolate, the crepes, just everything. It was just such a blast, and it's just a trip I'm never gonna forget. And then the wedding. So pretty much after we came back from Paris, we just went into full wedding planning mode. And we actually got married 2 months after our engagement, which sounds kind of crazy, but for us, it was just really important that all of our grandparents were able to be there to see the wedding. So we were going to do anything in our power to make that happen. Our wedding week was both chaotic and amazing at the same time. Like a lot of Indian weddings, we had the welcome party, which kind of doubled as our like Indian engagement ceremony and like dinner after. We had the haldi, the mehendi, and then our wedding day. So obviously the wedding day was the most beautiful day of my life. Like, I look at those pictures every single day. So if you guys know, Indian weddings are almost a week long. So it took some serious stamina, but it was so fun. I could probably talk about wedding stuff for a really, really long time. So I'm not going to go into too much more on this video, but if you guys want to know more, or if you want to meet my husband, drop a like, leave a comment, and maybe we'll bring my husband on the channel and I'll introduce him to you guys. The next phase after we got married was the multiple honeymoons phase. So we actually were lucky enough to go on a few honeymoons to a few of our top destinations that we wanted to go to. And we started with Rome and the Amalfi Coast. The Amalfi Coast had been on my vision board for years and years and years. And I'm glad I waited to go in 2022 because honeymoon number one. While we were in Positano, we got to explore the Amalfi Coast. So Amalfi, Positano, there's also Capri, Sorrento, and a couple other places there. Positano was just one of those places that 100% lived up to the hype. It's like the postcard destination where you see it everywhere. Like, I've been seeing it on TikTok, and you just wonder, it's like, is it going to live up to the hype? And it absolutely did. Like, the town is just so beautiful and the water is so pretty. Like, the views of the town when you're sailing on the Amalfi Coast are just so pretty. The food is really good. Like, we had a couple really, really good Italian meals there. And yeah, I just highly recommend it to everyone. If you're thinking about going, you should go. In November of last year, we had our epic trip where we went around the world visiting multiple different places. We started the trip in New York and it was cold. Let me tell you, New York was so cold, but it was so beautiful to start with the kind of winter New York vibe in Bryant Park and all those things, because some of the other destinations we went to were really, really warm. So we experienced it all. From New York, we went to Dubai, which was perfect in November. You always want to go in the winter months to Dubai. So it was actually our first time in Dubai. We went to the top of the Burj and saw the fountain show, going to the Dubai Mall. And yeah, I was just so impressed. Like, it was such a cool experience, and I'm gonna be going to Dubai pretty much every winter I can, because I feel like it's just the perfect winter destination where the weather's good and the lifestyle and the people are good, and of course it's like supercar heaven. So it was a really cool place, and I highly recommend Dubai too. From Dubai, we went to India, which of course is so special to us because both of our families are originally from India. This trip was also so special to me because I got to meet some of my new relatives from my husband's side of the family that I hadn't met before, and vice versa. My husband got to meet some of my relatives in India. So we were actually just there for like 2, maybe 3 days. So we didn't really have a lot of time to do much. And for that reason, I definitely want to come back to India and spend an extended trip there just so we can do more. But it was perfect because we got to spend some quality time with our family. Next up, we had a complete change in scenery because we went to Thailand. In Thailand, we went to both Bangkok and Phuket. Phuket was my absolute favorite, though. It was just so picturesque, so beautiful, and I highly, highly recommend Phuket. We had this amazing villa. We stayed there for, I want to say, at least 5 days. So plenty of time in this beautiful villa and this beautiful resort. And while we were there, we also did a boat day where we went to the Phi Phi Islands, Maya Bay, and all the like iconic, picturesque, beautiful islands around Phuket. Actually also got to swim in the water, and yeah, it was everything I could have hoped for from this Thailand trip. From Phuket, we went to Singapore, mostly because it had been on my bucket list for a long time to stay at the Marina Bay Sands Hotel and swim at that infinity pool. I think you guys know which one. It's that infinity pool at the top of Marina Bay Sands with that amazing view of Singapore. So we swam there at night and then again the next morning because we were actually only in Singapore for 1 night. But while we were there, we did get to explore a good amount around the marina, the mall at the Marina Bay Sands, and yeah, we had a great time for that quick little Singapore trip. The last stop on our trip before we came home was San Francisco. So this was a really special way for us to end the trip because we actually met in the Bay Area. So we took that 15, 16-hour long flight from Singapore to SF to spend some time in our hometown, see our friends and family there, and just wrap up this beautiful chapter there. By the time we got home from our vacations, we were exhausted. So we decided to spend a couple months in North Carolina, pretty much like January to April. Then in April, we headed back out to Europe to the south of France. So we actually flew from Raleigh to Paris and then Paris to Nice. And we used Nice as our home base to stay for a couple days while we explored the south of France. So while we were there, of course, we explored Nice. We went to Monaco. Monaco was my favorite because we got to see the F1 track, the casino, all that. And yeah, it was just really cool to see the street circuit for F1 mostly. We also took the TGV train from Nice to Cannes, which was kind of funny because the TGV train is one of the fastest trains. But since we took basically the slowest segment for 20 minutes from Nice to Cannes, we didn't get to go very fast, but Cannes was also awesome. From there, we headed to Milan and Lake Como. Lake Como was every bit as beautiful as you would think it is. Lake Como was another place for me that I've wanted to go to for a long, long time. And another place where I was like, is it going to live up to the hype? Because it's just, I've been wanting to go there for so long and I've seen so much about it. Everyone says the most amazing things about it. And it absolutely did live up to the hype. We stayed in this amazing resort in Menaggio on Lake Como. And from there, we took ferries every day to explore the neighboring villages like Bellagio. We went to Leno, Tramezzo, Varenna. And yeah, it was just so beautiful because you have the backdrop of the Swiss mountains, but you're in Italy. So it's just so picturesque and so beautiful. So I've just pulled up the stats on the Flighty app. And in 2022, we took 27 flights, 8 long-haul flights for a total of 51,308 miles, which is 2.1 times around the world. That's actually pretty crazy. And so far in 2023, we took 11 flights, 2 long-haul flights, for 16,800 miles, which is 0.7 times around the world. So yeah, it has been a year of travel. Let me know in the comments below, have you guys been to these places and where I should go next? I'm excited to kind of keep up this lifestyle and keep traveling to as many places as I can. So if you guys have a recommendation for me, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys!